Internets, welcome back to another Sultans and Sneakers podcast episode. I'm your host, as always, Maheen the podcaster, and I'm down here in South Florida, Miami, with Albi Abdullah, who has a lot of wisdom and stories to share with us today. So, Brother Albi, assalamu alaikum, welcome to the podcast.
Walaikum assalam. I'm happy to be here and to meet you, Brother Maheen.
Yeah, well, I just found out about you just like less than a week ago. Yes. As I was coming into town. As y'all can see, my boy Omar, Mr. Omar from the Mr. Omar Chess Academy in the background. There's a show with him coming soon, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully he don't interrupt me too much during this episode.
Okay, let me greet Brother Omar. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Yeah. I have to say that.
So I think that, so we were down here, and then I was reaching out to other contacts down in Florida, and this brother who I never met recommended that, you need to interview this brother because he's got a story that I think hasn't been captured. And this is something that I think a lot of, in the Muslim community specifically, we have a lot of elders who paved the way for us, and they're starting to leave this world. And, he told me about you. We had a chance to talk on the phone, and I was like, this needs to happen. We need to capture this story. So I want to ask you first and foremost, what year were you born? Where were you born? Tell me a little bit about your family background.
All right. I was born in 1935, the same year that President Roosevelt started the Social Security system in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
An old steel town.
Steel town, absolutely.
Did you have family that was in the steel industry?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
My uncles worked in the steel mills.
Oh yeah.
J&L they call them.
J&L Steel.
Yes.
Yeah. I spent the first 12 years of my career after college working in the steel mill.
Is that right?
Yeah, I worked at a company called ArcelorMittal, but they used to be the old Inland Steel and LTV Steel. J&L became LTV, some of their functions. So back in the 30s, I bet 20s, back then, yeah, that was like U.S. Steel, J&L, Bethlehem was big, Eastern Pennsylvania.
That's right.
U.S., you mentioned U.S. Steel. So yeah, that's interesting. You had mentioned something that you were like an orphan growing up?
Yes, my father, and I'm not angry with my father. I forgive him. He abandoned us, but my two uncles had jumped on him and beat him severely. Yeah. But he did fight back. I asked my uncle about that. My father was having some difficulties, and my mother and they were back and forth, but they had to be loved because there were 6 children born. But my mother died at the age of 26. We were not with her. We were in the juvenile court system in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And so we grew up. Now, we were in foster homes. It was like a slave camp, I call it.
Where were you when your siblings? Are you the oldest or the youngest?
Yes, I was the second born.
Okay.
My brother was 14 months older than I.
Do you remember how old you were when your mother passed away?
I think I was between 7 and 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were not with her.
Yeah, so she had you, they had you pretty young and whatnot. Right. What do you remember early on in your life in Pitt? Like, what's your earliest memory of growing up in Pittsburgh? You're in the north, right? But,
that's right, in the north, right.
But how did you find civil rights and, segregation and things of that, racism back then in the 40s?
Now, this is unusual, perhaps, but I was in a neighborhood that was a lot of Italians, maybe some Irish, and there were only 2 black African-American families at the beginning of my street, 550 Cora Street, and way at the end, a family. But it was all Caucasians, Europeans.
Sure.
And I'm telling you, as a young fella, they were really kind to us. Never was I called nigger by anybody. I never heard it as an adult. But every now and then I would see the Sepia magazine, a black periodical magazine, and I would see the lynching, the hangings, every now and then. But in the back of my mind, I couldn't really identify as being from Africa and us being mistreated. But innately, we knew that we were not first-class citizens. But I must say, the neighbors treated us very well.
I wonder if that's because, the Italians and Irish were also persecuted as communities. when they came to America.
That's right.
You know, they were looked at second class. So it's like they're, you know, these days you feel like sometimes you hear now that some of those same communities that generations ago were persecuted, they tend to be the ones that are become the biggest bigots because they tend to forget about it, right? But back then I would imagine it's probably pretty close. So what kind of religious upbringing did you have?
Okay. My church that I attended was down around the corner called Bethany Baptist Church.
Okay, so you're Southern Baptist? Or just...
I was in the church, right? And I went to church. Nobody had to beat the church. And back then, there was not as much information about Christianity, you know, the way that it was brought to us. And we didn't have a choice. A lot of people forget this. By the way, I was born 70 years after slavery. Just 70 years.
Yeah.
So that's our people had no choice. They didn't know anything but Christianity.
Right. You know, that's a good take, because, you know, so you enjoy going to church? It seems like you said you went by yourself.
I never was caught up in it. Meaning, I didn't do any jumping and shouting, and I used to look at the people. I'm speaking for myself. My grandmother told me, and I'm so grateful that we had a grandmother that she said that I talked about God so much, they thought I was going to grow up to be a preacher. And I had to be 2, 3, 4, right?
Right.
Right? Yeah. See, that's what my grandmother said to me.
Right.
But I would go to church, and I never did, and I mean no disrespect, but I never prayed to Jesus. I always prayed to God.
And you hear that from a lot of Christians today, that maybe they don't understand what they were raised with. They just say, well, you know, we pray to God, right? And you ask them, like, yeah, I believe in the Trinity. I believe Jesus is the Son of God. But then they're like, we only pray to God. So it's like, you know, so what I know you move on. You actually mentioned to me, I think we were talking offline the other day about how you were shoveling coal. What was that about?
Yeah. Well, now the homes had to be heated by the black coal.
Okay.
So a ton of coal would be brought in.
Yep.
And at 7 and 8 years old, I was shoveling 1 ton of coal.
Whoa, a day?
And you know, you did what you were told in the foster home. So, and I didn't realize it was affecting me because we have a strong work ethic. So did my brother, and I had to have a hernia operation at the age of 15.
Wow.
But working was not, it was just natural. I have a strong work ethic.
Okay, so and I know you eventually ended up enlisting in the United States Navy. This was
which was a blessing for me.
No, before that, what did you remember? Because you lived through you were very young during the Great Depression.
No, I remember this. I remember the food stamps looked like little green postage stamps.
Okay.
That's how the food, and they were called ration stamps. And brother, it was really, matter of fact, they had to break the door down in the projects where we lived. They come in and rub our stomachs because we were so malnutrition.
Wow.
It was very, very difficult. Fortunately, they had victory gardens then. A lot of the common people in the areas, the term ghetto wasn't being used then. They would start a little garden. And you had more camaraderie between neighbors, buying your sugar, give me some butter, some flour. You know, neighbors were really helping each other.
Right. So now, do you remember the World War II when you were a kid?
Oh, absolutely.
Of course. What's the atmosphere like in your neighborhood and in the city?
Now, I will say this, and I don't agree with it.
Yeah. But
the war benefited a lot of us poor people, not those that were old enough to be drafted and had to go fight, because they were treated as second-class citizens. The captured Germans were treated better. And that's a fact. But we could take paper, any kind of metal, tin, glass, down to the junkyard and make some money to get our little cookies or ice cream.
Really? Right. Okay. What do you mean? Like, so that they would use that for weapons? They would use that to make...
No, they would, fire them up.
Yeah.
Bring them down to the boiling point, and you know how you call it? What's the term they use when they're recycling the materials?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, they survived and nothing was thrown away. Yeah, oh yeah.
So you could like take your cans back and get something for it, right?
Oh, down in the big yard, and they would weigh it and give you cash.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that helped a lot of poor people.
So tell me about your decision to join the U.S. Navy. What inspired you to join the Navy?
Because I grew up in a loveless environment. Never heard anything good about myself. No encouragement whatsoever. Never heard you're a good boy. None of that. And the foster people, they were not loving to us. They weren't loving. They were old people, black people from the South, and they couldn't teach us anything except, and the man had a truck, and my brother and I, we were moving refrigerators, pianos, being actually children. We weren't even teenagers, but we just had a spirit. My brother was built like a grown man at 12 years old, 12, 13. And the biggest part of me was my nose at the time. I was spindly, and I tried to keep up my brother. That's how I got that hernia.
Yeah, right.
Yes, sir.
So what about that drove the Navy decision? That's what I'm trying to connect here.
Well, my brother joined the Navy.
Okay.
Right. And I think he was inspired by one of the foster homes. We lived in 3 different foster homes, and the last foster home was the best. And the lady, we called her Aunt Edna, her son was in the Navy. My brother was influenced, and I was the typical, I want to go where my brother goes.
Right.
So, but he wound up on the West Coast, I wound up on the East Coast.
And this is after the Korean War?
Korean War, yes. I was in during the Korean War.
Oh, yes. Did you go to Korea?
No, fortunately, I made Mediterranean cruises, and I was blessed. This is unbelievable. I didn't realize it at the time. I was assigned to the USS Salam, and I didn't figure it out till I was about 5 years ago. I said, to me that was like a sign. Okay.
Right, yeah, right. USS Salem, which is so. Then you.
And by the way, I want to say this.
Sure.
The head man, the admiral of the 6th Fleet, was aboard ship, 720 feet long. So we ate like kings and princes aboard ship.
Nice.
It was just I never made any grade or nothing.
Okay.
I was very militant. I didn't know the language.
Sure.
I didn't know it.
Sure. Now, let me ask you about the Nation of Islam. You found out about the Nation of Islam in the Navy.
No, I did not.
No? Okay.
No. Being a church boy, if you will.
Okay.
And still having the spirit of the Creator in me wanted to, so I went to a church in my Navy uniform.
Okay.
And a friend with me.
Okay.
We went to church. And so we're going to church, and while I'm in church, and 2 young ladies asked us, would you take us to our prom? They asked us, myself and the other brother. We carried ourselves. You know, there's a way you carry yourself, and he was a church boy too. So they asked us, while we're in a church social in the church in Boston, the young lady.
And you had your Navy blues on?
Yeah, right. And sometimes we would go in civilian clothes.
Right.
Yeah, right. And the young lady we were seeing, one of them, her cousin came. She was a member of the Nation of Islam. She was maybe 16.
Okay.
And she walked in, very intelligent. She was a brilliant woman. I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
She came in, she started talking the Nation of Islam rhetoric. And we were there socializing. She started talking. I said, where did you get this from? I was enchanted by what she was reciting what we call actual facts. How much is the earth? How much is the water? How much is the land? The earth weighs 6 sectillion tons. And she was going to the square mileage. And I said, where did you get this? What? And I was mesmerized. So when she left, I followed her home. I'm sitting on her stoop at 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Her mother leans out and says, Thelma, are you all right? Yes, Mama. And we just talked. I'm a young fellow. I'm about 19.
What can you tell me what Albi was not your birth name, right?
Oh, no. My slave name.
What's your slave?
Make that plain.
What's your slave name?
From the so-called Nation of Islam, we call it slave name, because we know that was not our name.
Yeah.
It was Tracy, and I was using Bruce B. X Edwards. right? So that only means the slave holder. And a brother corrected me. Wallace Akbar Muhammad, he passed away. Brilliant brother. He said, no, brother, they never mastered us. We shouldn't have said master. They called themselves slave holders or slave traders. That's right. So that's, so I got rid of that. I wrote through the Nation of Islam for my ex. Now, because I used to go and visit Thelma, I was smitten. I'm a young man.
Also, she was attractive too.
She was a cutie pie.
Okay.
So when I go to visit her,
right.
She would leave on Sundays. She would just go, leave me there with her mother. That happened about 2 or 3 times. I said, Thelma, what's going on here?
And she's 16 years old?
Yeah, she was 16.
So she's still high school.
She was sharp.
Yeah?
Oh, man.
And her mom was okay with her being in the nation?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But she didn't give her a problem.
Okay, I got you.
Her mother became Muslim, by the way. Do you believe it?
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Like Islam Muslim? Like.
Now, I remember this distinctly. Yeah. My brother,
Mahim.
Mahim, sorry.
Yeah.
Mahim. She leaned out, and the mother said, "Are you all right, Thelma?" "Yes, Mom." And the mother said, "You're not going down there with the Mau-Maus, are you? Talking to me."
Yeah.
And her mother became Muslim. Now, the Mau-Maus, that was popular back in the day, Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya was kicking out all the missionaries and killing them if they wouldn't go willingly.
So her mother became Muslim, like actual proper Muslim or nation?
Nation and then proper. She made Hajj.
Oh, mashallah. Wow.
Allahu Akbar. She made Hajj.
Yeah. So then she was your kind of like foray into the nation. Also, you kind of had a thing for her.
By the way, she never invited me. She never said, "Come go with me."
Really?
When she said, "Well, you can't go where I'm going," she said, "Because you're in a military uniform." Next Sunday, I was because the meetings were at 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
If you remember in the Malcolm X movie.
Right.
Next Sunday, I was in my civilian clothes.
Right.
And I followed. She never said, "Come go with me."
So
I followed her to the little temple that you saw in the Malcolm X movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where Malcolm says, when we're speaking at the podium, "Shorty, is that you?"
Yep.
That's the little storefront where I accepted the teachings of Elijah Muhammad. I want to make it clear. The teachings of Elijah Muhammad, not Islam.
So when you first go to your first time going into the temple,
right,
this is a small temple in Boston. Is it Boston?
Yeah, Boston. Very small on Columbus Street or Columbus Avenue.
Do you remember who the preacher was?
Absolutely.
And that was...
Matter of fact, he's in Malcolm's book. The brother was young, eloquent, college type. Brother Ulysses, Brother Minister Ulysses. I accepted the teachings of Elijah Muhammad through Brother Ulysses.
Okay.
Yes.
Now you had mentioned you met? You said you spent a long time with Louis X, who we all know as the Minister Louis Farrakhan.
That's right.
Did you meet him pretty soon after?
No. What happened was, I'm in the Navy.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
And so I got the teachings in my head.
Okay.
I went several times and I joined, right? But before I could sign my letter and get going, my ship took off because you have to go where your ship is. And where did we wind up? Beirut, Lebanon. I got the teachings of Mr. Elijah Muhammad in my head. I'm at the American University of Beirut.
Yeah, okay.
In Beirut, Lebanon. And watching the brothers make salat. And one brother, because of the way I was talking, he said, "Come walk with me through the garden." Beautiful Beirut in 1955. About 55 or 56, I think. Yeah, all right? So, and I'm going like, and I said, "Is that Farad Muhammad?" I'm just thinking.
And these are actually Lebanese people, right? These are actually Lebanese Arab that you're meeting down in Lebanon, right?
Yes, sir.
So proper, like actual Sunni.
And I saw a lot of Africans.
Right.
Matter of fact, one African said, "Why do you want to be there? Come on, you come to Africa. You don't need to be there." And I was tempted, but I said, "No, I know America. I'm in the Navy."
So at the time in the Muslim world, I think there was an understanding of the nation, because the nation of Islam, as we understand it, the teachings of Elijah Muhammad are not Islam. It's, as we would say blatantly, it's polytheistic. That you believe that there's there was God entered the world in the form of a man called W.D. Fard, right? If I correct me?
That's right, yes,
and
sir.
his messenger, and Elijah Muhammad was his messenger. And they use the Quran, but they use the but it's like that belief in and of itself means you cannot be. That is not Muslim. That is not Islam.
Well, we didn't use the Quran.
Okay.
No, we did not.
Okay.
The Quran was introduced to us, not in a significant manner. I would say this: Elijah Muhammad, he did have a little booklet in English showing us how to make salat, all in English. I remember having it. It could fit it in your hand. But he did not teach from the Holy Quran. What he did now, I want to give him credit.
Sure.
He made sure that Wallace and Akbar Muhammad was taught Arabic by a brother, what's his name, Diab.
Okay.
Jamil Diab. I remember his name.
Okay.
I saw him, as a matter of fact, in Phoenix. He was an elderly man.
I wonder if there was a I think in the Muslim world, there's probably confusion with the nation. They probably thought the nation were actual real Muslims.
Well, we did. We did.
You did too.
We didn't know that.
But even in the Middle East, because it's a contemporary movement, they just think it's a new movement in America that's bringing Islam to America. That's how they perceive it, and whatnot. That's looking back now. Yeah. So tell me about did you meet Minister Malcolm X first, or did you meet Minister Lewis first?
Lewis.
Okay.
See, because when I came back to Boston, because my ship was stationed in Boston, that was our home port. Okay. Right? Yeah. So we would come back. And when this is really interesting, I don't know if it means anything to you, but when Allah reaches you, when He wants to introduce it to you, there's a way. I'm a Christian fellow, right?
Right.
I heard these teachings though.
Yeah.
Right? And so my pastor of the church, he really had a heart for me, the pastor of the church. Good people. One of the most sincere Christians I ever met. His mother passed away. He sent a telegram to the Navy. I'm in France, Villefranche, right? Je parle en français un petit peu, monsieur. All right? So I'm in France, and it says, your mother, so the chaplain, who really liked me, because I used to tell the fellas, let's go to service. Come on, let's go to church, aboard ship. Yeah. The chaplain says, I'm so sorry to tell you, your mother's passed away. My mother's been dead. So I'm an excitable fellow, I'm a lot of energy. I held my peace as if it was my mother, and they said, we're going to give you 30-day leave. Sent me back to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where my pastor was. So I'm there getting my hair cut, and I said to the barber, good friend, I said, where can I get some fresh food? I don't want any pork chops. I want fresh, life-giving food. He said, Trey, my name is Tracy. They call me Trey, those that really cared for me, loved me. He said, go around the corner in Kelly Street. There's a temple restaurant. Get the connection. Mind you, so I go run, Allahu Akbar. I go around the corner, clean, spotless, very nice. I said, I'll take this and so. She said, yes, sir. And I said, I would like to get that. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I said, you don't have to say sir to me. And then I ran to the door. I said, I got to get out of here. She said, oh, where are you going? I said, is this Islam? She said, yeah. I turned around and said, I'm home. I am home. Allah. Now I'm in Pittsburgh where Brother Robert Hussein is, the one that put Malcolm on the bus from Detroit to come to the nation. And I go back to Boston, alhamdulillah. I called up on the phone, and Louis X is a minister. When I get up to Ulysses, it's gone. Yeah. Minister Louis and X and I, brother, we connected like that. We were inseparable. It's a fact. We did martial arts in my home, okay? And he was really sharp, hard. It was like, really, our meetings were like church. Yeah. Shouting a lot of, that's right. Yeah, teach, brother. Talk about those devils. Yeah. Oh, right. Right. So, and he and I were very, very close, and we were there for each other's children, and we had training, the FOI class. I did all of that because...
The FOI, the Fruit of Islam, which is the nation's security force.
Yes, sir.
Right. And because you're the Navy background, you kind of had some of the skills, you could impart that knowledge.
Well, I got that in reform school.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I hadn't broken any laws.
Yeah.
The elderly couple, the old man, did the same thing he did to my brother. He called the police and asked them to come and get me.
Okay.
For no reason. I was 15 and I was taken to reform school. They didn't know what to do with me. So I'm in there with tough guys from the streets.
Right.
I'm a church boy.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, like, tell me about your early years with Minister Louis X. Like, what did you do for him? What was your role in the nation?
Well, I used to open up for Louis X. You know, I was, because of the fact that I'm very garrulous, glib. I love to speak.
Charismatic.
Right.
Allahu Akbar.
Yeah.
I have no hesitancy. I don't know where it came from, but it's a gift. Allah gives us talents. And so when they had a minister, I don't know, minister class, whatever, I was opening up for Minister Farrakhan, right? And so when he would go, and then we were going after our people to wake them up, what we call them the lost founds of the Nation of Islam, the tribe of Shabazz. So we would go out regardless and and now the so-called Nation of Islam, they do that still.
You're right.
I have to give them credit, right?
Yeah.
All right, but it's very nationalistic, black supremacy, with a little bit of the Islamic language intertwined. It's convoluted teaching.
Yeah, but back then it appealed to the people because you're talking about civil rights era. Yeah. You know, you have the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the peaceful, nonviolent resistance, and the nation was more like, you know, there was a certain like it felt so. So there was a scene in Malcolm X when, you know, it's after the police scene. So tell me about the police scene. The police scene when Brother Johnson was beaten.
Very good. Very good. All right.
Brother Johnson was beaten by the police.
Yes, knocked in the head, cracked his skull.
Right.
Wow. I was in Boston.
That was in Boston?
No, that was in New York, brother. I was in Boston.
Okay.
I was working at the VA hospital.
Okay.
And so, because one of our restaurants, well, it was called T&W Restaurant, right on Blue Hill Avenue.
Yeah.
And, you know, we'd go, that was like our watering hole.
You're right.
Muslim, that's where you go. And so we got the word that the police had hurt the brother, and nobody had said, brother, let's get in the car. Our mentality, the love, the brotherhood, we automatically jumped in with a caravan. I don't know, 6 or 7, 8 cars, jammed with brothers. I'm working. I didn't think about my job, nothing. We're going to see, and we're going to confront the police, see what's going on. No weapons, just faith in Allah.
So now, you get there, and then it's like the scene of the movie is so much like, he goes in there, it's like, I'm here to see Brother Johnson. I'm not leaving until I understand the condition of Brother Johnson.
That's right.
And he goes in the back and they show him, and he's like, get a doctor,
that's right? That's right.
And then he was like, he's like, we're staying until we're satisfied he's getting adequate treatment.
That's right.
And then,
And we were walking around the precincts.
Yeah.
Now listen to this.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one. Brothers came from everywhere, man. We're talking brothers 16 up to 60. I mean, and we were walking around the precinct. Nobody took a McDonald's break. What we were doing, and they didn't understand it. First of all, we were eating 1 meal a day. You hear me?
As part of the,
that was part of our,
training.
Training.
Yeah, right.
I'm not kidding you. We ate for years 1 meal a day.
What time did you eat that meal?
Any evening, usually. Right.
Yeah.
1 meal, that's a fact. And we would fast from Thursday to Sunday. Nothing but black coffee.
I had read it, so I remember. So in the movie, after that scene, Malcolm's in the diner, he's having coffee, right? And there's this young man that runs in, and he was like, Mr. X, and then he's like, yeah, what can I do for? And first he says, he stirred his coffee, put some cream in the coffee, and he's like, only thing I like integrated is my coffee.
That's right. That's right. Yes, sir.
And
that's right.
And so then the brother asks him, like, Mr. X, I ain't never seen he was gonna say the N-word.
Yeah, right.
I never seen, and Malcolm smiles and he's like, talking that to the police, and then he's like, what's your name? He's like, Benjamin.
That's right.
And that was Benjamin Goodman,
Yes, sir.
who became Benjamin Kareem.
He was very tall. That brother was short in that movie.
Yeah.
He was tall. He was about 6'1".
Right.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, so he's the intro for him and stuff. So, but what attracted him was, I think, the dignity, the unity, right, the strength.
Right.
Because when you saw you never saw people from the nation getting hosed down by police dogs or getting hosed down.
That's right.
Because they weren't going to put up with it.
That's right.
You know, at least there will be a fight.
And we were always told not to be the aggressor. Always told that.
Right.
But fight with those who fight against you.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Defend yourself, essentially.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And by the way, when we were walking around, and we didn't take any breaks, and they didn't. You can see. I mean, the cameras were out there, the news reel. I mean, it was out there. And people didn't understand it. We were eating little boxes of Raisinets, the box of raisins, because they give you instant energy. None of us left. I got to go eat. None of us. You hear me? And we were sleeping on each other's floors at night and going back on the scene. As we were walking around the precinct, brother, the squad cars loaded with weaponry, Thompson machine guns, BARs. Do you hear me? Not one brother, because I trained the brothers along with others, was shaken or I need to get out here. Not one.
What was do you remember the first time you interacted with Malcolm X?
Yes, sir. First time, Brother Minister Malcolm, let me think. Well, first of all, let me make this clear to you.
Sure.
Because somebody would say, how's this possible? How are you going to be with Malcolm? And, you know, FYI, you have to work, which is true. I was a barber. I was blessed because I didn't go back to work at the VA. I was blessed to go, Allahu Akbar. Two brothers opened up a barbershop, two Muslim brothers, and I walked in the barbershop, and one of the angels, maybe, I don't know, I said, I can do that out of nowhere. And the brother said, man, you can do that? He said, look, brother, are you a veteran? I said, yeah. He said, go to barber school, they pay you, the chair waiting for you. And I did, Allahu Akbar. What a blessing for me. Yes, sir. So that's what I did. So this means when you're in a barbershop, you don't make any money if you're out of there, but you don't have to answer to anybody, and the owners especially. So when Malcolm would be at Boston University, Harvard, at Wellesley, at Brown, I would be there. Right? And Malcolm, that's what I love about Brother Malcolm. If you were a brother that was into it, see, Malcolm was very military. A lot of people don't know that. He got it from his father. He was a soldier from the days of the Honorable Marcus Garvey. Soldier, man, 6'4". Wow, powerful black man. You know, his complexion he was black too, ebony.
Right. Did you meet Malcolm through the barber? Did he come in for a haircut or?
No.
Okay.
Malcolm's sister was in Boston.
Ella Collins.
Gave him the money, Ella X Collins.
Yeah.
The money to make the Hajj. See?
Right.
And remember this, Malcolm. His sister's there, so he was in and out. That's when he got out of prison, he came to Boston because of her. Right. And that's when he fell in with this young lady, Laura, and and unfortunately she went another direction. But Malcolm first come to Boston. So now I didn't meet him in those days, but when he saw me, not because of my name, but the activity. And I was really fanatical, extreme. If you didn't say Brother Minister, I'd be, what? It's Brother Minister Malcolm, brother. Muslims used to scatter when they'd see me coming. I was like Umar, as recorded about him, say Satan would go on the other side. That's the spirit, all
right. So like, what was your, like, he noticed you from your work and stuff. Like, do you remember some of your early conversations?
And speaking ability, I was always,
because you were introducing Louis X, Minister Louis X.
Yes, sir. I got to make this plain.
Sure.
Because Mr. Louis X, the man's clever. He saw Malcolm, and Malcolm, first of all, he's 6'2", almost 6'3", charismatic, well-spoken, right? So Farrakhan X, Louis X, latched onto him. Well, I'm his running buddy, if you will.
Yeah.
When he rolled, I rolled. First of all, to protect, and I'm in the martial arts.
Yeah.
That time I was 6 feet tall, 165 pounds. Nothing but, steel.
You're right.
Fearless mentality,
Right.
know. And because I could go, a lot of brothers had to work their jobs, so they couldn't be there.
Right.
So I was the man that would be there, mainly, and maybe three other brothers. So Malcolm back and forth between Boston, New York, and we go up and down Merritt Parkway, and we'd be doing 75, 85. It was always,
Right.
okay? So when I go back and forth, and I'd be right there, and Malcolm was holding those street rallies, humongous. It was unbelievable. It was like we owned Harlem. I'm telling you.
Can you
and
tell?
people had a lot of respect for the so-called black Muslims.
Can you tell me something about some of your conversation with with Malcolm, as far as like any kind of insights he shared with you or anything like that?
No, there's one thing for sure. I will not prefabricate. No. I know Malcolm by his lectures, his speech, being there, observing him. Now, let me tell you this. If you say, man, you don't really know. Let me tell you something specific.
Yeah.
In Malcolm's book, he writes about Organa. It really was a Broadway type show, huge 40-member cast that Farrakhan had put together with a brother named Brother Lonnie and another brother named, I forgot his name, oh my goodness, can't remember his name. Three of them put together a play called The Trial in New York. Now, Minister Farrakhan was in New York and was dispatched up to Boston to be the minister. Ulysses is gone.
Yeah.
That minister's gone, right? So, back and forth, so in the activity, and so the play started in 1958. I'm out of the Navy, and we had different parts to play. I played the part of a preacher, Bishop Green, defending this good white man. Well, so, now let me tell you something that you may not realize this. If you read Malcolm's book, he was enamored. He was fascinated by entertainers. Fascinated. He talks about Billie Holiday. He talks about another one when he hit the number. It's all in there. I'm in the big Muhammad Temple number 7 in New York.
Yeah.
Huge. In comes Roy Hamilton. May not mean anything to you, but had a magnificent voice. Couple of big hits. He walks in, I'm sitting there because I had moved from Boston and I'm living in New York now.
Sure.
Okay? And he walks in and Malcolm sees him. He says, "Oh, bring our brother Roy Hamilton right down to the front."
Yeah.
See? And so I'm on, by the way, I don't know if you know this, we played at Carnegie Hall twice.
Okay.
Did you know that?
No.
Do you?
Who played at Carnegie Hall exactly?
The cast of Organa. We're talking Carnegie Hall, brother.
Yeah.
People down the street and around, what?
Yeah.
To get in to see us
Right.
execute the devil, the white man.
Right.
All right?
Yeah, that's funny.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm still on stage.
Right.
Now, mind you, he knew me because of my speaking ability, being right there, because I'm security for him. And when he's speaking, and Farrakhan X is there, Louis X is there.
Yep.
So Malcolm comes down to the stage front. I'm still in uniform, in my Bishop Green uniform. I hadn't gone in the back to undress. I'm just looking out, and the people are filing out, and I'm just looking. And Malcolm's there. He walks up and he says, "Brother," he bounds up there. He didn't walk. He bounded up and said, "I gotta take a picture with you." I didn't know. I don't even know I don't know nothing, because I'm still elated over this magnificent job we did.
Right.
A few years later, a brother walks up to me in Chicago. He says, "Brother, I got something here you might be interested in." He was a barber.
Yeah.
And he said, "Short brother." And he said, "Here's a picture of you and Malcolm." I did. You know what I did with that picture? Allah's my witness. I understand the gravity of what I'm saying. I burned it up. Why did I do that? Because Louis Farrakhan now. Farrakhan Captain Yusuf Shawn, I want to be very careful what I say about them. They were really talking about Malcolm like he was the absolute stone cold hypocrite. And if you had any care or love for Malcolm, you better not vote. It was dangerous time. I was there, brother.
This was
when Malcolm was assassinated.
Yeah.
I'm in New York. I'm living there now.
Okay.
I wasn't at the Audubon Ballroom. People asked me when I said, I said, hold it. I had nothing to do with his assassination. I wasn't even at the Audubon Ballroom. And I agree with Imam Ibrahim Pacha. He said this. He said, yes, we loved Malcolm, and we did. I loved him dearly. But the brother said this, and I agree. He said, we loved Elijah Muhammad 1,000 times more. So when Malcolm left, here's what his brother Wilfred, that I knew very well, and Filbert, they see me. I saw them, because of that production organic. Wilfred said when they asked him, did you go to the funeral? He said, no, and that's probably why I'm still alive. Yes, brother, there was tension in the air. Yeah. So I wasn't angry with the brothers who went with him. I understood it.
Did you what started the trend to? Because like in the movie, it became like the movie and seems to show that Malcolm.
And don't forget,
he was getting.
It was a movie.
Yeah, it was a movie,
There
right?
were so many things that were inadequate, accurate.
But one thing was like because Malcolm was getting the crowds, he was getting the notoriety, and there was a sense that maybe he was, gonna become bigger than the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Now,
right?
I do want to say this to you.
Yeah.
And I want to make it clear, brother.
Sure.
I had rose-colored glasses on. I didn't have a clue. I didn't even know that some of the ministers were like pimps. You know who woke me up? Imam W.D. Muhammad, Wallace. Woke me. I didn't even know. I was just enthralled. The spirit, I think I got it from my grandfather, perhaps.
Right.
Genetically, you get some of those things.
Right.
Because he was in a police uniform in the picture I saw.
Yeah.
We're talking in the 30s or 40s.
Sure.
What? So some of that, and my brother and I, we were both in the Navy, and I was training men in the Navy, recruits. And my brother but he was on the other side of the country, training. So it was like in our spirit, but no.
Yeah, and it would make sense for you to stay because you were essentially Minister Louis X's right-hand man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But not because of him. No. He would, man, Mr. Farrakhan, this is what he said. He said he said, what do you mean? What are you questioning us? Did you make Malcolm? He was our hypocrite. He said, we'll dig him up and kill him again. That's what he said. I didn't agree with none of that, but I wasn't going to go with Malcolm because I like life and I wanted to see what was going to take place. Because I was not in the hierarchy. I trained the FOI. I thank Allah, I was never an officer because I might have been killed because of my fanaticism, my extreme behavior. I'm willing to give my life like the majority of the brothers.
What about the people who went to Malcolm? How were they like Brother Benjamin Goodman? He went with Malcolm.
Yeah. And a few other brothers I know. I knew these two brothers personally. I worked out with Brother Norman 3X Butler. I worked out with him. He was dangerous. He was so bad, brother, when the police came to get him, he broke the protective mask with a karate blow. Broke it, split it.
Wasn't he one of the ones that was seen as one of the assassins?
No, he wasn't even there. Neither was Brother Thomas 15X.
Okay.
I know them well.
Okay,
No, they weren't even there. The authorities didn't care. They weren't even there.
Okay.
Thomas Hayer, I don't know him personally, in New Jersey, and a few of them from New Jersey. And by the way, just to reiterate, I didn't know the jealousy, the hatred from I didn't know. I didn't. I had no idea.
But you remember the good times. But you saw that.
I saw the
Minister
bad times too, brother.
Louis X and Minister Malcolm had good relations when they first started.
Oh yeah,
they were close, and then it started.
But I was there when the split came out. Matter of fact, I shook Malcolm's hand in 1963.
Yeah.
Before I came into Muhammad's temple in Corona, Long Island.
Okay.
Right? And things were really heating up, and he was suspended. But when I walked into the mosque, I said, "Assalamu alaikum, brother minister." And this E.F. Hutton commercial where everybody stops, and I picked up on that. They were the people that really didn't like Malcolm or hated him. I could feel that energy, and I agreed him. And Malcolm said to me, "I'm not minister now." And I shook his hand, and I've shaken his hand before. That's the first time I noticed his hands are very soft, like a female, like mine. My hands are very soft, but I got some hammers. Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Tell me about now Muhammad Ali. When does he come into the picture for you?
Okay, I met Muhammad Ali, by the way, the first time in 1961.
Okay.
Up in Boston.
Okay.
Yeah, he came up to visit. And, Muhammad Ali, what I loved about Muhammad Ali, when we go around to the different Muhammad's temples at that time, Ali would be there, show up, and he'd be going with the people, relating to them. Yeah, so I'd see him, and he'd see me. Now, I'm in New York in 1967. I live there now.
Okay.
And I get a phone call, and I answer the phone. My barbershop it's my business.
Yep.
Alhamdulillah. Jam-packed. I got another brother working, and it's a Minister Louis Farrakhan. Brother, Muhammad Ali needs a haircut. Can you come? I said, "Brother Minister, I'm here." And this is Saturday, man. We're talking, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah.
So, you know what I did? I said, he said, and see, by the way, I was Mr. Farrakhan's barber 15 years. I'm the one that gave him that hairstyle.
Like
I
the part
told him up in Boston.
Yeah.
I told him, "Part your hair, Brother Minister." He used to comb his hair straight forward like Jerry Lewis did with Martin and Lewis. I don't know if you know about that, the comedians.
Yeah.
And I said, "No, that's not good for you, because he doesn't have his head slopes right down." And I said, "Part your hair." So I parted it. I'm the one and I was his barber 15 years, right? So anyhow, what was I saying?
You're talking about Muhammad Ali, the haircut.
Yeah.
Minister Lewis calls you for an.
Right. He called me up in Midtown Manhattan.
Right.
He needs a haircut. So I turned to my customers. I said, "Customers," I said, "this is Muhammad Ali's camp calling me, asking me, will I come and cut their hair? And I want to ask you, my customers," that's what I said to them, "would you allow me to go?" And they said, "Go, man, go. Tell us about it. Go, man, go."
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Allah. And when I walked in,
Right.
Muhammad Ali sitting in there just with his shorts on, nothing else. Now, I want a wife. I'm a woman. I'm a woman's man. But I ain't never seen a more beautiful human being in my life. And look at Allah's handiwork. The man was stunning. And he's sitting there, brother, his tone, the complexion, his hair. And he's looking at me, he said, "You the barber?" He said, like that, "You any good?" Well, and I was like, like quiet, believe it or not. And Mr. Farrakhan said, tell him.
You're good.
I said, "I'm as good as you can fight, man."
Yeah.
Brother. And I got on his head, brother.
You're good.
We got to talking about a sister that lived in my building. I owned a 2-family home.
Okay.
And I was telling him, because he was looking for a wife. And we have gifts. Allah gave me gifts. I'm a natural born artist. I'm really good artist. And so I put all of that into when the afro hit, a lot of the barbers said, "I ain't gonna mess with the nappy hair. I'm out of here." I said, "Oh, let me at it." And I opened up 2 businesses and made, big money following the idea and the thinking and the programming of Elijah Muhammad, Mr. Elijah Muhammad. I don't call him honorable anymore because I don't want people to think that I'm looking upon him as being a messenger of Allah. He wasn't, or a prophet. He was not. I agree with Imam W. Muhammad has said of his father, he was an inspired social reformer. Now, and I'm not going to argue with anybody from the so-called Nation of Islam because I respect that.
Where did you start seeing the issues? Like you seems to be like Wallace Muhammad was the one who's instrumental in
Yes,
opening
sir.
your eyes.
You know, he was excommunicated, put out 3 times. Do you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm there.
Yeah.
Put out.
And he probably wasn't killed because he was family. He's a son, right? Do you think he would have been killed if he wasn't family?
Oh, no. No, that would never happen because, see, part of the folklore was Father Muhammad told Sister Claire Muhammad, his mother, the baby is going to be, and when you have the baby, name him Wallace D. Muhammad.
Okay.
That's part of the, see, so we're programmed, and also Master Fard Muhammad, the one who came, raised up Elijah Muhammad, he said, he is going to help your father. He's going to be your helper. See that?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, Allahu Alam, but he was born a boy. Yeah. I mean, just saying, it's deep, man,
Right.
Wow, Allah. It's just Allah. And I do thank Allah that he allowed Father Muhammad to come. I agree with Imam W. Muhammad. I mean, no disrespect to what we call affectionately the immigrant Muslims.
Yeah.
But if the immigrant Muslims had come, we might be looking for a camel to ride, wearing thobes, having the mishwik, whatever you call, and would never know who we are, our identity. Elijah Muhammad brought us back into being recognized as Africans displaced. He did. I got to give him credit.
He made them outstanding citizens. He did a lot for the black community.
Yes, sir. For sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. So, anyways, when did you start? Like, what's the time frame here? So, because you talk about the time period. When did your relationship with like Minister Louis X or Louis Farrakhan kind of cease to exist?
Well, it never really ceased because if he's in town, I have dinner with him.
Okay, to this day, he's still.
And I mean, I'm just giving you an instance. In 2011, he came to San Diego, California. I'm in San Diego. I've driven 3,000 plus miles to do the TV show with Imam Warith Deen. So Mr. Farrakhan's coming in town, and Imam Warith Deen had good relationship with the minister of the nation, so-called Nation of Islam, right? So he's invited to dinner. Farrakhan is going to speak. I went to hear him speak. I even know some of his language, some of his favorite words.
Right.
Because I mean, I'm with him 21 years. Okay, so now we're at the minister's home. Beautiful home. He was into security. He had a top-notch security company. Wonderful brother, Minister Hugh Muhammad. So I'm in the home, and very nice. A lot of Christian preachers are there. Half a dozen.
Yep.
And so Sister Claudette, who's the one who heads up protocol, I walk in, and they know me from the Nation of Islam and say, Brother Albi, you sit at the main table with the minister. Well, I already know that. I sat at the main table with Mr. Farrakhan at the palace, as we called it, in Hyde Park. And while I'm sitting there, they had 2 sub-tables and the main table. So then they said, no, Brother Albi's sitting near the minister.
Yeah.
Korean Benjamin. I saw a brother from Korea. I said, Korea? See? I said, Angyang Haseyo. So, okay. Kamsamida. Thank you for coming. Right? And a contingent from France, so-called Nation of Islam. And brother, I greeted them in their French language. But yes, brother, and Mr. Farrakhan told the people, Albi, I love you. That's what he said to the whole people. Your family. And I said, I love you too, brother minister. Now, I cannot say that I could say that now. Because I think the man is drunk with the fame that he really wanted and sought. I didn't know it. Brother Siddiq Muhammad made it clear, or Muhammad Siddiq. I don't know, he's a wonderful brother. He passed away. But he was our director of education in New York. Okay. He told me that Minister Farrakhan said to him, I always wanted to be famous. And I don't know if you know this, and I don't hold it against him, nobody cried when we had the big so-called Savior's Day after Mr. Elijah Muhammad passed away. huge. We're all there. And Muhammad Ali had defeated Sonny Liston. You understand?
No, you're just saying 1975. You say when Elijah Muhammad passed away?
That's right. 75, that's right. I forgot. But yeah, the Savior's Day, right, correction. Because that's right, because Savior's Day is in February. Thank you for that correction.
No, mainly because I was like, Muhammad Ali beat Sonny Liston in the 63 first, right?
No, 64.
64? Okay.
64.
64.
Yeah.
And
but
then,
they were so close together.
Yeah.
It was in the same, it was like, they fought in February.
Okay.
I think, am I wrong?
No,
it might have been 75.
He fought him twice. He beat him twice.
No, the first time, but this is the first time.
Yeah, the second time is the famous picture where he's standing over him, right?
Yeah. Right, right, exactly.
The second time,
yeah.
But the first time is...
Remember now, because of my age.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did, so what was it like when you so 1975, Elijah Muhammad passes away, and Minister Wallace takes over the nation and then takes the nation out of the...
take over.
No?
There was no takeover.
Okay.
There was no takeover.
Oh, what was it?
I was not there.
Yeah.
But remember now, some of those ministers were not true believers in that message.
Okay.
Some were.
Yeah.
But Imam W. Muhammad's knowledge was so supreme. He had what we call supreme wisdom, backed up by his studying the Holy Quran that we didn't know much about at all.
Okay.
Right? I didn't know my first Quran. I came in 1957 officially. I accepted the teaching in 56, but I didn't have a Quran until 1968. Yeah, I didn't. You understand?
Yeah.
And I didn't really study and get into it, because we were being taught from the Bible, because it was called the poison book. And the churches were called ice houses. Would it freeze up our mind?
That's funny.
Yeah.
I've heard that one before.
And a lot of, this language, and that language is all out in the streets too.
Right.
Because in that different brothers broke away because they wanted the following.
Yep. No, so like, so then when did you officially leave the nation and enter Islam as we know it today, Sunni Islam?
Well, as soon as Imam W. Muhammad came in 1975, and he was there speaking, by the way, I forgot this because in my mind, it's go bing bang, Mr. Farrakhan is the only one which still, I said, all this strength he's showing, he broke down and wept like a baby.
When was this?
In public, at the big address to the world, and Wallace is being the one that lifted on their shoulders. Yeah. You understand? Farrakhan's the only one who broke down and cried. Nobody else did. I did. He didn't love Mr. Elijah Muhammad any more than us. I love Elijah Muhammad. I love the man. Love him. He was the first one that stood up and said, the white man is the devil and the black man is God. Now, I never said I was God.
Yeah.
But I would teach the black man's God, but I never said that. I just never did. Never did. No, right. I didn't.
Right, but no. But what I'm saying is, the whole thing about it is like, you're saying, so it's almost like Louis Farrakhan was crying because he wanted to be the man.
Absolutely, no doubt in my mind. No doubt. But he couldn't eclipse Imam W. D. Muhammad, that was not as charismatic, not as eloquent, if you will, and didn't have that ability to mesmerize the audience as such. But he had supreme knowledge. And Malcolm would lean on him. Malcolm would ask him. Yeah. Matter of fact, Malcolm, when he met him, he said, so you're Wallace. He would look at him. Go. And Wallace had self-contained, I don't call it supremacy. There was no arrogance.
Yeah.
Never. You know what he did, brother? He did not ride in. We had stretched limousines for days. I lived in the palace. Did you ever see it in the Hyde Park?
The palace.
Did you ever see it? Yeah, the home that Mr. Farrakhan's living in now.
Oh, yeah, of course. They have security. There's always someone. You ever drive by, there's always someone. No.
It's a palace, man.
Yeah.
I lived in it.
Really? Down the street from Masjid Father.
Imam W. Wallace and I became dear friends in my first Savior's Day, 1958. He told the audience,
Yeah.
Albi's back in town. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I told my son, who lives in Chicago and working with a brother named Rami, Brother Rami, who had a thing called Take It to the Street.
Oh, Rami Nashashibi from
Yes,
Iman.
sir, right.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
of course.
Good
Yeah.
brother. My son worked with him, and I said, well, if you're in Chicago, if you ever get near Imam Imam, tell him you're Albi Abdullah's son. He did,
Yeah.
and my son is 6'6".
Right.
So when he got, he said, Imam, my dad's Albi Abdullah. Imam, stop. Look, I got the picture. My son sent it to me. Looked up at my 6'6", and he said, Dad, he kept repeating, Albi is my friend. Albi is my friend. That's right. Brother, I'll tell you, I was gung-ho. Do you hear me?
We hear you.
I wound up with Earth, Wind, and Fire. How you think that? Earth, Wind, and Fire wanted me to... Maurice White said, I want you to be the head of our security. And then his brother called me. I'm in the projects with my sister.
Earth, Wind, and Fire. That's like a musical thing?
They're a band.
It's a band?
One of the biggest
Earth,
bands
Wind,
of
and
the
Fire, one of
70s,
the
Mahi.
biggest in the world. Are you kidding me?
You.
Yeah.
They're huge.
What are some of the big hits for Earth, Wind, and Fire? I can't think.
Okay, Reasons.
Sing it out. You got something for us?
Serpentine Fire. It would be the reasons we are here. The reasons we da 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 da.
Electric Love.
Oh, dun, 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 dun. And,
Computer Love.
Huh?
Who's singing Computer Love? Is that Earth, Wind, and
Oh,
Fire?
I don't know about that.
Computer Love.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Oh, okay.
Now, mind you, I was with them in '77, and their album went double platinum.
Yeah.
Matter of
Huge
fact,
artist.
my hairstyles, because I was their official barber stylist and their head of security, Maurice White himself said, I want you to be. You understand? Because they knew I was with Malcolm, with Muhammad Ali. They see me.
Right.
And I was,
Business.
if you saw me,
Wow.
I mean, I was ready to kill you. All the I'm telling you, we took over New Jersey Airport, took it over. You hear me? And everybody got back. And Elijah Muhammad walked through humbly, with the baseball cap on, walked through, and we grabbed the doors, everything. It was FOI. We had a presence in Harlem, brother. But it started dissipating in the '70s.
Okay. When Louis Farrakhan, because he was with Minister Wallace for 3 years after '75.
Yep.
And then
You got it right.
Okay, and then he ends up.
I was with Minister Farrakhan when he made his break. Now, I'm not saying he didn't tell anybody else, but I'm saying this. Brother, I didn't make myself. I don't understand why Allah, but everything monumental, just about, I was there. And if not there, right after it took place. Just unbelievable. See, so, and my mind is, just still sharp, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
But no. And I mean, this is the truth. Allah is my witness. I'm in, where am I? Somewhere, this year or something. And the brother says, I know you. I said, who are you? Tall, real chocolate complexion brother. And I said, where? He said, you're the preacher. I said, what? He said, you played the preacher in Organa. I said, yeah. He said, I said, where are you from? He said, Chicago. This is back in 1961, 60.
Right.
Man, but brother, I played. A man from Hollywood gave me, said, please call us. We want you. I could have been, I could play any role, do any accent.
Right.
I was building a nation.
How did Louis Farrakhan take you? Like, what do you remember? What you said?
I'm sorry, because my mind does. I do go off in a tangent.
No problem.
I'm in a hotel. We're in San Diego.
Yeah.
And Mr. Farrakhan speaking to the students.
Sure.
Well, when he came into San Diego, I'm not his follower, but he called me up. Albi so and so. I cut his hair. He comes to my home, cut his hair, and I rode with him, right? Because I don't know what's going on. But now that I look back, he was talking to black bankers who worked in the bank, Yeah. And when I was with him, we went to a huge place, very fine. And when he walked in, Lonnie Elder He wrote Sounder. He put together the movie Sounder. He says, there's my mentor. He's incredible African American. He's very knowledgeable. Big Caucasian, money all over the place. And I'm with Mr. Farrakhan. Lonnie Elder says, there's my mentor. Bring Minister Farrakhan. I'm going like, what's going on? And I saw big men, suits, ties walking, and they're talking to Mr. Farrakhan. And I always would respect when you were talking, I'd step back because it's not my place.
Sure.
I didn't realize Mr. Farrakhan was setting it up then. So when he told me, I'm in the fabulous hotel. His West Coast correspondent Jafar was there, Mr. Farrakhan's brother-in-law and his wife. And he tells me, he says, brother, I'm going to reform the Nation of Islam. I'm going to, he didn't say these were resurrected. I'm going to, and I said to him, calmly, I said, brother minister, do you think you know the religion better than Imam Wallace? And then I said, do you think you know the language? I said, do you think you know the Quran better? And do you think you know the Arabic, the language better? I asked him 2 questions. He never, I wasn't trying to time him. He said, well, brother, he's very smooth. Well, brother, he said, I admit that Wallace is the brightest thing out there, and he has got the knowledge. And I said to myself, so long, friend, goodbye, buddy. That was it. I don't want to go back. And I have some dear friends. Allah is my witness. I told them recently, don't call me again, brother. I still don't understand how you could call a man Allah. I said, so you're in shirk. I said, so he said, what, brother? I said, brother, I've been reading and studying hadith, and I can't. I said, I'm nervous, and I cannot. Now, I don't know about other brothers. I know some still got a little thing. I'm not, but in hadith, that's like saying to Allah, see, I do what I want to do, and I'll worship you later. No, Allah is a jealous God. It's in the hadith. I'm talking Sahih, Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. And a lot of Muslims don't understand. Rasulullah said to one of the Sahaba said, should I cut his head off? He's standing with my wife. Should I kill him? Yeah. Rasulullah said, no, brother. He said, see how jealous you are? He said, I'm more jealous than you. And Allah is more jealous than all of us. Man, I don't want to know. I don't want to. And Allah says in the Quran, in English, that's all I can read. He said, do you want to give me proof that you are not really with the believers? No, man. Playing footsie. If Farrakhan comes to town, I will not go to see him. Not anymore. But when I would go to see him, he would. Remember I told you in San Diego, the minister is there with and Mr. Farrakhan walks in. I'm standing there, and his brother Mustafa, who is the captain of the Air Force, says, there's Albi. Because I helped raise them boys. Right. Them boys. I helped raise. You understand? Right.
You led the fruit for a long time.
What? Man, yeah, brother. I was one of the best. And Richard 8X, whenever they'd have their meetings, Allah bless me not to be an official. Bless me, because I might have been killed. Right. Being so fanatical and, I might, yeah. So I never was an official. But when they would walk and go upstairs, they say, Brother Tracy, take it. Fall in. Left, hop. Oh, yes, sir, buddy. Oh, what? Just, on top of it. Teaching classes, hygiene, drilling. Right. And then the catechism of Elijah Muhammad. Who is the original man? How much is the earth? That was it? Why do we love the devil? No, man, it's a whole lesson. Yeah. They're studying those lessons now. Because they're teaching from Message of the Black Man now, as if it's the Quran and Elijah Muhammad is the messenger. There's I don't know if you keep it contemporarily, in Chicago, like there seems to be, you hear things that like over the years that Minister Farrakhan believes in the orthodoxy of Islam as we understand it.
But like, do the
No, he
power?
doesn't.
You don't think he?
Let me say this to you, please.
Sure.
I'm just remembering, please.
Okay.
I'm in California. A comedian, a black African American named Godfrey Cambridge, died.
Sure.
Very popular among the elite.
Yeah.
He was buried at Forest Lawn.
Right.
That's with all the big muckety mucks, the big, celebrities. So I'm with Mr. Farrakhan. So we go to the funeral. Farrakhan, because of his eloquence, and he's really a celebrity entertainer. He came out of the music world.
Sure.
He was called the Charmer.
Right.
See, a lot of people don't know. You need to look up the word charmer. Really check it out. Anyhow, I'm standing there at the casket. This is outside. A lot of celebrities there, big, I see them. Farrakhan is there. You know what he does? Blew my mind. He starts chanting Al-Fatiha over a Christian's grave. And I did like this. And I said, what in the world is going on? You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
He's a showman. He ain't man, no, brother. He ain't no Muslim. Do you know he stood for every now and then I'll dip in on and get on my phone and listen to his madness. He said this many times. He said, I'm a Methodist, I'm an Episcopalian, I'm a Jew, I'm a Muslim, do you hear me? And he got the Christian preachers eating out of his hand. Now, Allah has said, Subhanahu wa ta'ala, all of it, whatever it is, it would all be brought into his plan. So the good that he's doing, the people, see, all of that is igniting something. Whether people are going to believe it, I don't know.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But, I'm just saying.
Yeah, tell me a little bit. So before, I want to ask this because if you're listening to the show, you won't see, but if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see that. So when we were looking for you earlier today, I passed by you, and I was like, because I was looking at someone from the nation. Tell me a little bit about your real quick, your people's, you have a skin condition.
Right.
So
Conditions on Michael Jackson.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
You're the king.
Yeah.
Tell us about
Yeah. And I was about your complexion.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the complexion I was right there.
Right.
It's more like that.
Basically,
yours is more golden.
Yeah, basically,
His is more tan.
Basically,
And it could be, yeah, right.
The listeners basically we're like South Asian man, kind of brown that color. So anyways, you basically have a pigment. I don't want to take up too much time with it, but basically you have a condition that over time.
It is a condition, yeah. But it's, alhamdulillah, it's not contagious.
Okay.
Not contagious.
Okay.
Nobody else in my family.
Is
Nobody. But see, Allah says, I love it. I only know the English. Do you think that you'll be left alone on saying that you believe when others before you have been tried? Sure. And we shall certainly try. And they start delineating. So I was tested.
Right.
And I'm teaching a white man is a devil.
Yeah.
And here I am. Matter of fact, I've been among people, and the Caucasians would think, because of the way my hair is, my lips are thin, they think and they said, one lady said to me, I'm at way out where the Caucasians are. It doesn't, there's no sign, but it's like, keep out. I mean, African American, we know.
Yeah.
It was like, keep out. But I know to get this particular product or whatever I want, I had to go out there. So I go out there, and I'm on my P's and Q's when I go out there. It's in the area called Dadeland North. Huge shopping centers. Yes, sir. So I'm out there. And so when I pull up in my wheelchair, I'm looking like I look, and this Caucasian, I said, where is the so-and-so and so? And I have a northern accent. She said, Vietnam? I said, no, Korea. She said, oh. She said, isn't Trump doing a good job? I know. She thinks I'm okay. I said, terrific. And I said, but there's a price to pay. She leaned, because the thing was up there, and she leaned over, and her face was down to me. I said, but there's a price to pay. The Native Americans, they were killed, their land stolen, and they dwindled down to nothing. And she looked at me, and she still don't get it. And I said, and furthermore, worse than that, enslaving the people over 300 years and not paying them and killing them. And I said, I said to her, there's a price to pay. She did like this. And I drove off and said, gotcha. She thought I was a European. I've been among Caucasians at poolside
Yeah.
in Fort Lauderdale. I used to live there.
Okay.
And he said, so and so and so. I said, yeah, I'm going over to Oakland Park to the Walmart.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, we don't go there. She said, and they actually said, people of our color, we don't go there. And I said, they think I'm serious. I said, yeah, you hear me? Because I have thin lips, and I don't have a big booty like a lot of African Americans, you know. Because they got to our women, you know, they brother. And the Miss Ann, she turned her head when she saw the babies coming forth of a lighter complexion. Know that her husband, you understand? That was rampant. Do you hear me, brother? And unfortunately, because of the self-hatred and the programming, some of our people would love to have this.
Right.
Some of them. I know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
And I got to keep an umbrella like Michael Jackson, because the sun already it will mess my skin up.
So now with that being said, your time in the United States is coming to an end in the next couple months. You are making
Inshallah.
Yeah, you're basically moving to the Gambia. The hijrah is a thing that we is something that to live and die amongst the Muslims.
Yes.
But talking about the sun, like Africa's gonna be blazing hot.
Super hot.
So what now?
Africa's gonna be super hot. Like, how's that gonna affect your skin?
Especially the Gambia, right?
Oh, but I love. See, I'm an African. Yeah, now I know there's some African Americans that do not like heat. I know that.
Yeah.
What? I was there, brother. I'm from Pittsburgh, and I was young and dumb. I didn't know. I said, when I started going to my 50s, I said, well, I got to go. Let me go to Atlanta. Atlanta was too cold for me in the winter.
Really?
I said, I got to get out of here. Atlanta. I was there about 20 years on TV and with Brother Hassan Shakir. I said, let me go to Florida. Oh, man. I love the heat.
Right.
And see, remember now, all I got to do is have my umbrella.
Yeah.
A brother already has a home there for me.
Okay.
Allah, a Muslim brother. Abdul Rahman.
You visited Gambia before?
9 days.
Okay.
I left last January.
Okay.
I left on the 9th and came back on the 19th.
Okay. What are you looking forward to there?
Well, first of all, I've been there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get a job.
Right.
I have an income because I get a little pension from the military.
Sure.
Not a big, for 20 or 30 years, but I get a pension because of my age, alhamdulillah, and I'm low income.
Yep.
Why am I low income? Because I hated the so-called white man so much. I didn't pay into Social Security like I should have. So I only get $880 a month. But guess what? And I've lived in 14 senior buildings under HUD. It's a blessing. Now, there are some things this government's done correctly, but that is just a tip of the iceberg. The horror, the worst they've done is a big iceberg below the surface.
Bigger conditions.
Yeah, but that, and I'm benefiting from that. So I get now, my income is $1,931 a month, and when I get there, my son told me, he said, Dad, you're going to be rich. You'll be rich. I said, what do you mean?
Yeah.
He said, Dad, it's 50 to 1. 50 of their dollars called Dallases to equal $1 American dollar.
Yeah. Right.
So I've already done, I'll have $88,826 at my disposal every month.
Right. Yeah.
Now, as long as I stay in the Gambia, I'm good.
You're good. You're good.
Do
You're good
you hear
for
me?
We hear you.
So I can afford 2-3 wives. It's a fact. That's a fact, Jack, and I won't take it back.
Talk about the food there. What's the food like in Gambia?
Well, I think I ate there, and I said, they cook food food's hard. But then I'm old, really, and I don't have many teeth, so my gums are soft, my teeth are soft. See? So, but they're right at the sea, man.
Yeah.
Right at the sea, fish. Wow.
Nice.
They got mangoes. They got, I saw the monkeys.
Sure.
I saw a few African Americans. I told them I'm going back to Africa. They said, "Man, but tigers, man." I said, "Boy, our people so ignorant. They don't know, man."
Cool. As we wrap up here, is there anything you want to say to the listeners, the viewers that we didn't touch on? Any final words?
Well,
any things of passing?
I would say this, and I'm very disappointed, but when it comes to our people, a lot of people want to hear about Malcolm. They do. By the way, I was there when Malcolm's sister became Muslim, Ella Collins.
Okay.
She came in and upset the whole thing. She did. Started Arabic class, whatever, and Mr. Farrakhan didn't know what to do with her. He had to send for Malcolm. And of course, I moved to Boston. But I'm saying this, those people that play with, they're amused by us.
Yeah.
They love saying, yeah, I saw the movie Malcolm X. Yeah, Farrakhan, he told those devils. But they don't want discipline. And I say this, all those who say, I don't want to join an organized religion. Foolish people. The universe is organized. Our bodies have 9 systems in the body, all coordinated. Everything, we come from organization, but they don't want discipline. And if you become a disciple, and you were back in the days of Christ Jesus, Esau, he had disciples. The word disciple comes from discipline. So I love the discipline, and I thank Allah. Islam will be the leading factor as to whether we live or die in eternity in the Jannah or the heaven of the paradise. So don't talk to me about Malcolm. All you want to do is be tickled by a little knowledge and seeing a movie. But life is more real than a movie. So a lot of them are going to be disappointed when the judgment day comes. So I'm warning them. Those of you who want to save your life and have life after, and I love the way it says in the Quran, well, what do you mean we're going to be raised from the dead? And Allah says in the Quran, I don't even know the English, tell them, he that created you the first time will recreate you again. Now, think about that, from nothing.
Right.
Huh.
Right.
Down to the fingerprints.
Yeah, even down to the fingerprints. Thank you, Brother Umar.
All right. So, for listeners out there, if you have any questions or comments, you can email me at info@sultansneakers.com. You can check out this video on YouTube. You can also listen to the audio wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Pocket Casts.
And I want to thank you.
And I want to thank Brother Albi.
I want to thank you, brother, because
thank Mahi, the
the
podcaster.
knowledge you have, you really know what you're talking about, and you allowed me to run free, and I appreciate it.
I
May Allah
appreciate.
bless you, brother.
I mean, it was a pleasure
And
to
you,
meet
brother,
you,
you
and I,
Bless you, brother.
hopefully, we'll be in touch.